Alright, so it's been some time and I thought that I should make a video to document my progress, step backs, basically my journey so far, before I really forget what sequence things are happening. In fact, I had to actually pull up my bank account for my health, like my health bank account, all my health expenses, to just look at the sequence of things that happened over the last year or so, just to remember all the doctors that I need to cover in this video. So it's already kind of getting ahead of myself, so I don't want to make, I want to make at least one video a year, I would say. But really the main reason why I'm taking more delayed time to make videos is because I really don't have much to say. It just takes an immense amount of time and trial to find even a little bit of relief. Medicine that allows me to speak a little longer, allows me to, be awake a little longer throughout the day, walk a little bit, etc., etc. But I think this is a good time. I just, just around 50th. I mean, it is 50th or 51st, I think, if I count the referral that I recently got. Let's just say 50th, so I can think of it as like a anniversary sort of thing. 50th doctor that I'm working with right now, and that is Dr. Brandon Brock, which is somebody I'll talk about in this video. Over the last decade, roughly. Most of them are in the last half decade, though, last 5 years. And these are not just, simple, one visits or something. I'm talking about full doctors, which I go to with my entire complication, and they try to come up with a plan and then work with me for a period of a couple of weeks to a couple of months, or longer term would be a year or two, like some doctors I've had, to try to see if we can get some stuff fixed. So having that said, I will start off by saying that the last year to year and a half has been by far the hardest time in my life, by far. And if anybody watches this ever who has traumatic brain injury, the only thing I would want as the outcome is for you to shortcut your time frame it takes for you to get some of the relief than it did me. Because a lot of the reasons why my condition is as bad as it is now, and pretty much irreversible, is because of the time frame. If I had known what I know now, like about 5 years ago, I think I would have been able to mitigate a lot of it. I don't think I would have been able to stop my health deterioration, but I think I would have vastly been able to prolong it. Meaning, like, I'm around 30 years old right now. I'm 29, turning 30 this October, and the condition I have right now, and the way I live my life, I think I could, if I knew what I know now 5 years ago, I could have probably locked it in at the condition I was in about 3 years ago, which was a lot better, where I could, for the most part, walk and everything without much thought. Anyways, so let's get into it. So I was looking at the last time I made a video with some, updates and whatnot, and just kind of like getting caught up on what I had shared. And even in the title, you can see the main things I was talking about is CCI and MCAS. So I'll start off this video by saying that CCI and MCAS are both out of the story. Now, CCI is still there, but I don't think it's nearly as big as it was before, and MCAS is completely out. So I'll talk about this one first, which is with Dr. Afrin, who is, I think it's pretty well known that he's the best doctor for MCAS in the world. I don't think, if there's anybody else, they just probably not as well known as him, but he's the one who gives all the speeches. He does actual studies behind MCAS, all that stuff. And this is why I went after Dr. Afrin, as he seems like the gold standard, and anybody who knows anything about MCAS is basically always mentioning, how good he is and whatnot. And a lot of them actually learn from him. Anyways, long story short, the reason why it didn't work with me is because it's just not what I have. Period. We did all the testing. It took a year or more of testing of 3 different times, sending my blood to 6 different labs each time. And a lot of the tests that I did, you can't even do them in most normal hospitals. So I had to go to New York for one of the rounds. One of them I did in Arizona. One of them I did in basically it's like in the border of Arizona and California. And even then I couldn't get any kind of result that showed that MCAS is something that I'm dealing with. So basically, all in all, chased that thing, and it was most certain that I have this, but it was not it either, because all the symptoms line up exact, pretty much. If I were to break down like all the things I go through symptoms wise, especially things like with the diet and whatnot, how I cannot tolerate anything except like 2 foods and etc. And then like the types of reactions I get from shortness of breath to like cold intolerance, dizziness, vertigo, all this kind of stuff is like symptoms of MCAS. Now, I'm not mentioning all of them. The ones I just said can be actually pretty broad, but you get the idea. So this is happening in conjunction. It was happening in conjunction with these. One of the doctors I was working with is Mederi Health, and they were more of a normal doctor, I would say, not as much of a specialist, it's not as high level, you could say, as Dr. Afrin, but they were good at figuring out like the part that I'm not basically breaking down vitamins, and this is something that we were going in circles for a while, and that basically was that, I'm taking like vitamins first, trying orally, and I had reactions to it, and then I did it through IV for months, and we still didn't see any improvement, because then we found out that my body, even when you give the vitamins directly in the blood, cannot absorb the vitamins because of a pathway that I have right here. I forgot what it's like exactly the definition, but it's basically it can't break down anything with methylated vitamins, right? So B12, a lot of vitamins, basically, my body can't absorb it, right? So the idea was that it's fine even if it can't absorb most of it, just give it anyways. Even if it can take a little bit, it's good. But then we realized that this can actually harm me, so then we had to stop, especially B12. All right, so that's that. Now, I'm going through this pretty fast. I don't want to take this is not supposed to be an hour video, and not to mention, if you can hear it, I'm already starting, my mouth and everything started to get really dry. I can't, talk that long. Anyways, so stop taking vitamins because we can't break it down, and basically started working with some allergists and with Arizona Allergy Center of Complex Neurology, and then the other person that I started to see is Dr. Saperstein. Again, guy is known to be pretty high up there. I would put him actually in the same class as Dr. Afrin, right? Like 6 months to a year to get an appointment with him. It's not really cheap, like it is like same kind of rates with Afrin and stuff like that. Again, nothing was to be able to be found. Now, in the end, what I'm trying to get to with these parts, right? The whole reason I'm mentioning it is that I'm trying to give a little bit of summary of how I came to my final, not conclusion, but emphasis, right? This is something that I already knew. I just didn't know how much of a role it played. And the final result is it's just a brain injury. Period. That's it. I wasn't born with MCAS. I don't have any kind of allergies I'm born with. And no, it is not none of the stuff that I thought in the beginning or I even considered, like, do I have trauma because I have a single mother? Or like, as a kid, I had a runny nose since I'm like 10 years, or I broke a lot of bones from car crashes and stuff like that when I was in middle school. None of this stuff. Okay? And now when I look at it, it sounds kind of silly that they were even in the consideration. The main thing is basically I had 3 motorbike accidents in Thailand, and one of them, just one of them, happened to be the one that damaged my cerebellum. So I will try to do a little bit of demonstration because I think this is probably the most important piece of information I will lay out on this channel ever. And this is how I would basically put it. Okay. So I'm going to be doing this live, so bear with me. I'm not that good at finding this stuff, but I'm going to try to do my best. Okay, I can't really find a picture for this, but basically, okay, in your brain in the bottom, there's the cerebellum, right? This is the part that deals with balance, vagus nerve, stuff like this, which has a myriad of functions and responsibilities that goes down, and it's basically known as the wandering vein, is a nickname for it, because it goes around down from the brainstem and wraps around your organs, your liver, your gallbladder, your small intestines, your lungs, your heart, everything. So this is the part that I damaged, right? So if you ever watch this and wonder, oh, for a brain injury person, this guy sounds pretty all right, it's because it's the cerebellum. And I learned this very late, but all the people that have brain injuries that we generally are known for, like they are just hospitalized, they have to learn how to walk again, and they don't know how to talk, they slur, drool, and basically almost become like paralyzed. Those are people who actually damage the frontal lobe. Frontal lobe, your thinking, processing, all that stuff is there. So I guess you could say I'm lucky, if that's if you want to put it like that. But basically, I damaged my cerebellum, and all the symptoms is tied to that. And now that since I basically found that and put the emphasis on that, I was able to finally find people who are not just similar like me, like MCAS, but exactly like me, meaning had a crash, had some kind of like, some people had a car accident, motorbike accident. A few people actually had just like they just were drunk and then they got hit or something by a car. Some people got drunk and fell off like some ledge or something and had a damage, whatever it is. But the point is, people who damage their cerebellum, it's anywhere from 5 to 10 years it takes. So you can be good about 5 years, half a decade after it happens, and you can be relatively good. You might have some symptoms within like the 3rd year, but things start to go south usually after 5 years to 10 years, in that range. For me, it was actually like, the accident was 2011, and things started to really go south, I would say 2019. But started to go south probably 2015. Right? 15, I already started to have some issues where I'm trying to go doctors, chasing around, trying to find out, oh, do I have carpal tunnel? My hands are hurting, my things are hurting. Oh, I'm shaking. All this weird stuff, right? I went through my classic story of, they put me on antidepressants. Like pretty soon after I came to America, I was on antidepressants. Like in my first house that I was staying in when I was in like college, basically. So it's like in the area I was staying, I moved like 3 or 4 times, and that was the first place I'm in, and I was already in antidepressants. And then pointing out that the progression it takes, right? Now, okay, going back to the story. All right, pictures to make this exciting. All right, okay. So you damage the cerebellum. So what happens next? Well, then the organs start to malfunction. Then let me see. Let's see. The things that this thing is connecting to. All right, you can't really find it, but you're gonna have to like see it like this. connecting to, it's showing like the organs here. Basically, I'll just tell you, it's the gallbladder, it's the small intestines, it's your digestive system, which is the biggest one that gets affected. And then also things like your saliva glands, and basically when food is entering your body stops realizing the things it needs to do when food is entering, right? So for me, for example, I have to really try to have saliva come, right? I have to like smell the food, wait for some time, visualize. I can't just like multitask it, right? Like most people, they can just, listen to music and eat, or like, they can watch and eat and maybe even work and eat. I have to like really take some time, especially in the morning, because empty stomach, if I try to eat food and I don't have any saliva to break down the food, or any kind of like that, like rehearsal take place, I can sense it does make a difference. Where like this food just feels like it's like a brick sitting in my stomach and not getting digested properly, and just like really prolonging it. So that's one of the big things, right? That I'm dealing with right now. Now, moving on with these kind of issues that I'm having, and going back to my list of issues, just to kind of highlight, because it's not like all of these are a big problem, right? There's like 30, 40 things that I go through, but really the top ones that I put is usually the ones that are like big. So daily enemas, basically right now I'm at the point where I cannot go to the bathroom normally. I have to use, without getting too graphic, pipes and tubes to have more like a manual pump, so to speak, to go to the bathroom. And it's because the vagus nerve is not working. It's not signaling to my body that, hey, there's a food. Now it got digested. Now it's in the colon. Now it's time to go to the bathroom and, do the last cycles, the last part of the process in this food eating cycle. I can't exert a lot of energy, muscle fatigue, and still I have the head pressure. Joint pain is still there, but it's easing up a little bit. In fact, I can actually type like quite a bit now, at least if I want. Like I can type 10-20 minutes. I don't have to use voice text as much, which is basically a document I have in Google Docs. I still have to voice text everything I need it to get done, right? Anything I need to tell somebody to do, I just do it, and through voice. And in fact, over the last 2 years, I've given over 100,000 words of orders, if you will, using voice text. Now, okay, I'm getting wrapped up again. All right, guys, so let me go back. As you can see, it's just so much that it's hard for me to stay on track, but let's talk about the main things. With daily enemas and muscle fatigue is getting worse. This is something I'm going to be addressing as the next steps, which will be in the end of this video. That's basically, like it says, fatigue, right? Like right now, I am at the point where I take 3 breaks, which that's how I know it's worse. Before, I used to take just 1 break when I'm brushing my teeth. So, back and forth movement, and it starts to just really ache and fatigue. And I have to take a break and switch hands. And in fact, I'm at a point now where I'm actually pretty good with a lot of things with my left hand because of how fatigued my right hand gets. Whether it's be like holding the phone while I'm trying to watch a YouTube video, or brushing my teeth, or pouring a glass of water, whatever it is. So fatigue is something that I need to address. It's becoming more of a bigger problem. The other stuff like walking and everything, I'll get into a second, because that's where I think the story gets interesting. So going back to the vagus nerve, what happens is, so the damage happens, vagus nerve gets damaged, and the cerebellum. So this is where my balance issues, and like I can't I can't close my eyes and keep my balance. Right, I start to tip over because my body's internal balance system is off. Right, that's one of the effects of cerebellum getting damaged. And then moving forward, what happens is since your gut is not getting the proper signals, it starts to have problems with digesting the food. And it starts to get leaky gut syndrome. Leaky gut. Okay. Now, this is a pretty common term nowadays. In fact, I think it's sort of a trend, mini trend within health. Leaky gut, gut supplements and all this kind of stuff. Eat like liver supplements and all this kind of like, carnivore type stuff. The type of leaky gut I'm talking about is, there's lots of different kinds, right? You can get leaky gut just by drinking a lot of alcohol. You can get leaky gut by having just a lot of bad food. You can get leaky gut by just having bad genetics. Basically, right? Like, if you have bad genetics, it can't break down food. Your mom and dad had always like, can't tolerate dairy, can't tolerate a bunch of other stuff. Then you could get, develop leaky gut too. The one I'm talking about is leaky gut from the vagus nerve. It's very important to remember this, because the last thing you want to do is listen to me anything here, if anybody ever watches this, that is. And then run away thinking that this is what you need to do, what I'm saying. Just remember, it is leaky gut caused by vagus nerve damage, not other normal kinds, right? Okay, now what happens when the leaky gut gets worse? Basically, since the vagus nerve is not signaling the leaky your gut properly to digest food or secrete the enzymes or release the acids to break down food properly, food particles are entering your bloodstream. So normally what happens is from your big intestines, when you have food, it gets broken down into a very granular level, right? So it starts with your mouth. Like, your mouth is the start of your digestion, right? Just think about it. Open your mouth, look how crazy that shit looks. It's insane, right? Your tongue and everything, the whole scene is kind of crazy. You look like an alien. That is part of your organ, right? That's why we bite and chew, and saliva and glands and all these things come out, starts breaking down the food, comes here. Now it gets broken down to a much further level, like acidic level. In fact, if you ever threw up, you can remember how that thing feels, how that food feels in your throat. That's how acidic your stomach is, right? That's how the stuff you have in there. And that's supposed to break down the food. Once it's broken down, it goes into the small intestines, which is basically like these smaller pipes here, right? You can see the large ones first and then the smaller ones. Through these smaller ones, there's lots of veins and nerves there that can absorb those nutrients. Now that it's so granular, it can absorb it right into your bloodstream, and then it flows in your body, and that's how you get your nutrition. All right. When you have this kind of function problem, what happens is that these food particles, actual literal pieces of apple, of a chicken, of beef, is floating around in your blood, which is a big no-no, right? Like, your body is not going to tolerate that. Your bloodstream is going to alert that. Like, oh my God, we have this insane stuff in our blood. We need to, get rid of it. That's how the immune intolerance starts. It all starts with the brain, then the digestive system, the gut is the second brain, and then after that, everything else. All the other stuff that I chased over the last years and years and years is because of the stuff that happens after this. Hey, why is my joints hurting? Hey, I can't walk. Hey, I can't shortness of breath. Hey, I can't run. Hey, I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't focus. All the stuff, right? All my list of stuff is after this. The point is, it's not as important anymore. What are the symptoms? Yes, I will try to do my best to negate them, but this is the main thing that's broken. So, what to do next? Well, to explain a little bit further, when your body is attacking it, like your white blood cells goes and attacks these foods. This is why people with my kind of immune intolerance, they lose their intolerance to foods after they try it a few times. Like a couple of years ago, I'd be like, okay, I never tried whatever, like, so-and-so type meat, like a bison. And then I eat it and I'm fine. I'm like, oh my God, I found something that I can tolerate. Next time I eat it, bedridden, emergency hospital. Because the first time the body took notice, it got in the bloodstream, and the body was able to make the antibodies to mark it that, oh my God, this is something that's bad. We need to get rid of it. Next time it saw it, it started firing at it right off the bat. So right now I am at a position where I'm still very limited, but it's starting to open up. Yes, you heard that right. I have broken the pattern that has been going for a decade. And I'm going to show you how in this video. So keep watching. So yeah. So basically, what I had to do, and I'm going to jump you through, I'm going to cut to the chase, basically, right? Instead of me going through all the more doctors I went through, since in the last year and a half and whatnot, I'm going to go into the main story of how I accidentally found out. And then I will go into what you can take to help with this problem. It's help. It's not going to fix it. I went from having 2 foods to 4 foods. So it's a little bit of a progress, but it's a doubling. However, so let's get into the story. So basically in 2021, I got to a point where, what can I say? It's just very tough. And every week I would have at least 1 to 2 nights where I would be suicidal. This is not angry suicidal. This is not, oh my God, I can't take this anymore. Like, it's not out of any kind of anger. It's more like just being in your bed, so helpless, so much in pain, just to breathe and get past the night, that you just whisper to yourself that if I was to go to sleep now and not wake up, I would be fine with that. That's it. That's all it is. And my family had to come to, just basically be there with me as they got really worried at where I'm going to be heading with my health and stuff, where things are looking very unquestionable. And I've been battling with a lot of stuff, and I think I shared some of this in the last videos. Even, I don't really go into too much detail because there's not much to say. There's a lot of other channels. If you search by CCI, search by MCAS, or these kind of injuries, they go in a lot more detail on their day-to-day and stuff like that. I try my best. I rarely make these videos. I come in and I just try to, when I have something to say, when I think it's something worthwhile, I try to just lay that out there. But it's worth mentioning, the position I was in when I got hospitalized was borderline dead. And it's a slow way I got there. So the way it happened was, I think it was March this year. Things got so bad. Literally I'm bedridden. My girlfriend has to bring me every meal to the bed. Everything, basically. Everything is just done from bed. I have a projector. I have a projector that goes into the ceiling, right? So when I'm laying down, I can watch stuff on my phone and browse things on my phone, and it's gonna project what I'm seeing on my phone onto the ceiling, like straight ahead. This is how I basically have been using and browsing the internet for a lot of time, until I got hospitalized. And I went to the hospital because of overall just weakness and everything. And when they did the the test and stuff, I came back with a hemoglobin of 5.1, which is very low. Now, for any of you who don't know, hemoglobin is basically your blood count. And my body's blood count, my body has basically been losing blood slowly. It's not because of some bleeding, internal bleeding or anything like that. It's just because it's just not being able to make blood efficiently. Might be because of my diet, might be because of my problems with my digestive system. We still don't know at this point. But we knew it was an issue, but we didn't know how big of an issue it was, because of all the things in line item. This is again, one way I want to emphasize everything I say is by the word emphasis or priority, you could say. You see, just like I said, there's so many things I have, but until I found out the main root cause, which is just the brain injury, I was not able to understand a lot of this stuff. Same with this. I have so many problems, but one of the top ones was just one line item in my health, all my health tests, right? Out of all the things that I have, all the blood work and stuff like that, lab work of files and files and files, it was just one line item, and that's the hemoglobin. And I didn't know how big that was. If I knew, then if I saw it low, I would have tried to address it. So when I went to the hospital, the hemoglobin is 5.1. And I pulled up a little funny video for you to picture. This is a horror movie, Saw 5. And this is a scene where the whatever ghost or evil person locks away the character and says that you must give away your blood to exit this room. So I'll play it a little bit.
It is an astoundingly durable creation. It contains approximately 10 pints of blood, yet it is still able to operate with just half of that. The device.
So he says the body is a something terrific system. It operates on 10 pints of blood, but it can function on half of that. So my hemoglobin was 5. So 10 is, I think, pretty low still for most people. An average good blood count is 12 to 15. And I had a 5. So basically what the horror movie was trying to get the characters to do in a life or death situation was what I was trying to function with on a daily basis. So anyways, when I got the blood transfusion, thank God a lot of it changed and it allowed me to walk again. In fact, I haven't used a wheelchair since March. So this is a big, huge thing for me. And I mean, I guess you could say it's, I guess you could say it's the biggest win for this year for my health. The only reason I hesitate is because, to be fully honest, wheelchair to me was not that scary. As soon as I had to go in a wheelchair, I was very calm about it. In fact, my girlfriend even commented saying that she just felt afraid how easily I took it when it was time for me to get a wheelchair. And I think this is something surprising to a lot of normal people because, to normal people, it's you mainly realize your friends or family or someone who's really in trouble when you can see it, that something is very big visibly. Like, oh my God, the guy used to walk around on 2 legs, now he sits and he can't walk. It's a big thing. But it was way worse, much worse. I'd much rather be in a wheelchair forever. I would sign that contract on a heartbeat if I don't have to go through the pain I used to go in the nights, especially in most of 2021. Just sheer being awake, as soon as I wake up in the morning, the pain I would have in my brain, in my joints, just to be alive and breathing, was such. Anyways, let's get back into it. So I was able to walk again. Lesson learned there is try to ask and prioritize the main things. I'm talking about basics, right? Sometimes when you have chronic illnesses, you're looking with such a microscope with all these different doctors, and it's like a whole relay race going on, right? At any given time, I have 3 to 4 doctors with different schedules, with different tests, with different supplements, with different medicine, all this kind of stuff going on. It's really like a job. But then what happens is, since we're all working with specialists, you can forget to emphasize on what happens when you see main things like, hey, is your blood count fine? Hey, how's your blood pressure? How's your heart rate? These things are normal, very basic, right? That every hospital checks, which is why you can roll your eyes to it, because you have seen it bad for half a decade, and you're accustomed to it. Nobody cares. You already know. But sometimes when things line up, when things get a little bit too low, like it was to be 8. Sometime between 8, it went to 5. And I got really, really bad. And I wouldn't have known unless I went to the emergency. So I was really glad. And as soon as I got the blood transfusion, like night and day difference. Within 24 hours, I was able to walk again. And since then, I was able to again tolerate supplements. So all throughout 2021, I couldn't take anything. I can't take vitamins. In fact, if I mentioned in the last video, the reason why we went in IVs and stuff is because I can't tolerate. I'm doing pretty good though. It's 35 minutes. Wow. I didn't think I would get this far. I went into IV because I couldn't tolerate by the mouth. So since I've taken that, it has opened up me to take all the other things, all the other medication that I'm about to mention now. Once this opened up, I looked at it as a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's like literally lose yourself, Eminem, once in a lifetime thing. I know this, and I'm in it right now, which is basically I have probably just enough health to be able to try some medication in 2022 and see if I can get to some kind of base level. And I'm happy to be able to say that I'm sitting here today and I think I was able to pull off with the right moves. Basically, with the brain doctor, we were able to come down and find and narrow down the exact chemicals that I'm missing in my stomach because my brain is not firing properly, and I'm able to put those things in before I eat a meal. So I'm going to go over it, what they are. This set, this is my afternoon set, this is my morning set. Morning set is not as important because they have normal stuff like vitamin C, hydroxos, magnesium, stuff like that. But I also have like LDN, which is a lifesaver, and then L-methionine and a few other things, right? But I would say the main things here is ketotifen and LDN, lifesavers, both. Without ketotifen, I can't sleep, literally at all. Right now, I sleep on average 12 hours per night, laying down, 11 and a half to 12 hours. This is by my Oura ring. It's not. I'm not ballparking here. I'm saying based on the stats. So I went from sleeping 3 hours a night to like 11 hours full bedtime, meaning from time I lay down to time I get up. But actual asleep is more like 9 hours. Okay, so yeah, that's just what it is. That's all you have to know about this part. But this stat is what's allowing me to open up my diet. Again, this is something I haven't been able to do for a decade. Since 2019, I've been only eating salmon and sweet potatoes. That's it. I couldn't even tolerate a multivitamin. I can't even tolerate vitamin C. 2021, we went through the whole year trying for me to just tolerate some of the multivitamins, and we had to go to give it through IV. To give you an example of how hard it was for me to tolerate any food until I got these elements in. Enterovite. And the other most important one is Enzyme X Pro. Now, look them up. I'm not going to get into too much, but basically these are acids that your stomach creates normally, like hydrochloric acid, butyrate, and then these would be the two biggest ones. I think hydrochloric acid is probably the most single biggest supplement that can help you to break down foods. And with these together, and histamine block, if you're taking anything that has basically histamine, any kind of like food. I don't have too much of a histamine issue because I don't have MCAS, but it's still, somewhat problematic if I'm going to take something like that. Is like, let's say it was cooked the day before. Usually we cook, every day fresh, but if something, like let's say I have fish left over, I eat it the next day morning, that was cooked like yesterday, I would definitely take this. But the main ones are Enterovite and Enzyme X Pro. And then after that would be Hemvite, Orthospore, SBI Protect, and Repairvite. If you have severe gut issues, which if you're watching this and it's a 40th minute, I'm pretty sure you do, then you should take the SE. because this is for people that is, it excludes some of the other elements like botanicals and a few other, compounds that can be a little problematic for us to break down. But basically, I take these supplements before I eat, and lately I've been able to go from salmon, sweet potato only to salmon, sweet potato, spinach, and asparagus. A quick word on why vegetables here. Why am I only going vegetables? Is because vegetables is the main thing that helps repair your gut. Period. Right? I'm not saying this because I read some basic stuff on, eat your greens. Just trust me on this. I've done extensive amount of research on which foods, like for example, fruits and stuff you can completely skip. You don't need fruits to live at all, ever. Nothing. Not even a little bit. It's just a luxury. But vegetables will help you. In fact, if I can get to 5 vegetables by the end of the year, I think there's a chance in 2023 that I will be able to eat another meat. Maybe it won't be something, maybe chicken and stuff will be a reach, but some other meat that's maybe not a fish. It could be something similar. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I can feel the progression overall can go that direction. All right, so that kind of sums up. Now, the last part of this video, I just wanted to share a few personal things with my finances. As you can see, there's a few things that I have left here after I talk about the hospitality and the spinach. 2022 has been also a very bad time for me in terms of my finances. Even though I have these wins and stuff, it's kind of unfortunate that I lost a lot of money. In fact, pretty much over 80% of everything I have, I lost in 2022. So I'll talk about this a little bit. So basically, when I was in 2021, living those nights where I'm not able to even get up, one of the things that still kept me going and excited a little bit is that this whole crypto market. And I started investing in crypto, and actually in 2020, a little bit of Bitcoin, mid 2020, and dollar cost average a little bit out and stuff like that. But it wasn't until 2021 where I really got into it, just like many other people in the world. And in 2020, in the beginning, but in mid 2020, I had roughly about $350,000 to my name. And to cut to the chase, in 2021, I got to at the peaks of a net worth of around $2.7 million. And basically it's like roughly 9x on my entire net worth. It was a lot. And it was all through crypto. And again, this is the thing, right? Like, it's hard for me to summarize because it has a story of its own. But I spent so many hours just on my back, laying with a projector and just watching videos on YouTube. And I was really excited because as somebody who can no longer run a business like a normal person, it was basically the last dream I had. Really. If I had to line up who I am from, let's say, age 16, everything that I value got taken away because of health problems. And one of the last dreams I had was to just be able to work at a business. right? Not any, particular money goals of any kind, but just the opportunity to get up every day and work and make my own schedule and all that kind of stuff. That got shattered as my health got worse, and crypto was the knight in shining armor, basically, to save me. Now, although it's not the same thing, right? Anybody who has a business will tell you, like, when it comes to fulfillment, investing is not nearly the same. It's kind of like, I don't know how to put it, but basically, without going down that rabbit hole, what I'm trying to say here is, every energy that I had with my brain's focus, other than what's needed for my, running my health and, my schedules and dealing with my doctors, I was putting into watching YouTube videos and stuff like that, and just being in the crypto market. And I pulled this up to show what really happened, because it's just one of my accounts. It's letting me out. Let me sign back in. It's one of the bigger accounts that I have, and it'll kind of show you how brutal this market downturn was. This account 12 months ago, you can see, was $1.6 million. And it went down, 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 down. I held to it all until it's like 40, 50K. And I had my entire net worth pretty much in crypto, and other than basically like a year's worth of cash needed to, pay for my living expenses. And in the end, from 2.7 million in 2021, in 2022, these things keep signing me out. I'm at a position where I have less than, it's over 80%. So, there's not much to say. This takes it back to the good old days in this channel where I used to share my bank account. It's been a while that I've done this, but it's a big part of, I know this is about my health now, but this has been a big part, as this has been, I never even thought I could take a loss this big. Before 2021, I never thought I would even have millions of dollars. And now I'm sitting down in 2022 as somebody who at a point was making $30,000-$40,000 per month long enough to get bored of it, is sitting down now where I'm broke. I had to recently actually sell my car for the hospitalization bills, which is showing up as $64,000. So these things are not cheap. In fact, the biggest expense that I have in my life is my health expenses. On a good month, it's $7,000, and on a bad month, if I get hospitalized, it can be, $50,000, $60,000. I end this video towards the end now saying, what are the next steps that are left, right? Like, one thing for sure is, I walk a unique path. It's definitely one of the worst lives that I know of personally, of anybody that I know, of people that I grew up with or went to school with or anything like that. And even when my health was getting bad a couple of years ago, I never thought that I would really end up at a point in my life, being how old I am right now, to be in such kind of overall disparity in both health and wealth. But it is what it is, and I still share these because these are the times when I would run away from making a video like this. And who knows where my life goes from now. Hopefully this continues this direction and this list can grow, but it's all in a you know, it's all, it's very, we're like basically splitting hairs, right? In every direction. Having that all said, what are the next steps? So the last thing I've pulled up is some notes from the recent doctor visit I have, and that is basically a T protocol, which is not a big part, but discontinue anything with methyl vitamins as it's still a problem. My body's not breaking it down, okay? But here are the main things. Discuss nerve biopsy and IVIG therapy. This is something that could be huge. And it's something similar to LDN. And LDN had a huge effect on me. It's probably actually saved my life, to be honest. I think there's a good chance I wouldn't be here if I didn't have LDN. And IVIG could be something similar to this. The only thing is I would have to get it approved some way by the insurance, because I'm at a point right now where I really cannot afford it. It's about $10,000 a session, and I think you'd need it something like, I don't know if it's weekly or monthly, but yeah, it's not in my budget anymore. We have it in the plan to get a vagus nerve and a stellate ganglion block again. This is something I did in 2021. I didn't have any effect, but now they have a vagus nerve block, which is basically can relieve the vagus nerve. And this is the exact thing that's having trouble with my brain, right? My brain sending signals. So it's not going to fix it. It's not, if you have a brain injury, there's no way to really fix it fully. You can't go back to 100% unless somebody comes up with a device like Neuralink, which I'll touch on once again at the end of this video. But this is something that could be good. And potential fecal transplant, although this is something kind of gross. Basically, this is somebody else's, feces that they put it in your gut because it kind of like teaches your gut on what kind of feces to have and what kind of like microbiome to recreate, to summarize it in a sort of humorous way, if you will. Source of cortine, try food source of methionine. I mean, if I can try any food source, that'll be a plus. But the big ones are, the next up would be IVIG therapy and vagus nerve, I would say. Vagus nerve and IVIG. Talked about that. Biggest hopes. I made a video about this last time in October 2021, where I said is Neuralink, tech entrepreneur entering the space, and a new community or a new country. Probably a new country, that's what I meant. And I still stand by these, right? When it comes to biggest hopes for the long term, these are the main things. I'll play a clip by Elon Musk on Neuralink.
I mean, the emails that we get at Neuralink are heartbreaking. I mean, they'll send us just tragic, where someone was in the prime of life and they had an accident on a motorcycle and someone who's 25 is they can't even feed themselves. And this is something we could fix. They can't even feed themselves.
This is something we could fix. So, I know there's a whole thing they have to go through with FDIC or whatever they call it, like, people are going to complain, like, oh my god, they're implanting stuff in our brain. I mean, all I can say is, ask any person who's living with a brain injury, who can't get up, who can't eat, who can't walk, who can't speak. Ask him, hey, would you put this device to get back your life? The only thing they'll answer is which side of their head they want you to drill. So Neuralink is still at the top. The only thing that's unfortunate is that, he's giving estimates of 2028, roughly a decade. And the guy has a lot of stuff, he's running Tesla, SpaceX. These are things that takes 90% of his time. This is just a small side company that he has. Hope in this would be some competitors come out for this with some real, like some good competitors that are talented, tech entrepreneurs, not like some doctors trying to fix this stuff, but actual real entrepreneurs, which is my second thing right here. But also I put maybe gene editing of some kind. Although I do think for me, this is it's more like it is more like a hardware issue. Like, it's like a circuit problem. My cerebellum got damaged and the circuitry is not passing on the current going to my organs. If just that circuit can be passed, then I think I can get my life back. And then a new country, a community. The reason I put this is because if you look at the biggest problems, right? If you look at like big problems, things that can change an entire country, why don't they get fixed? Why is the health system like this, right? Why is the education system still like this? Still, to this day, in 2022, they're still out there scamming people left and right. Colleges getting away with it, and nobody blames them for anything. Why are these things so difficult to fix? It's because they're rooted in the culture, in the initial grounding of the country being built, right? The health system, the insurance system, the way things are financed, right? If you can get kids to sign up for something for 4 years and give them a sort of a feeling that you'll be a higher class and call yourself educated to the point where society and your parents push you to it, and guess what? The government funds it. Well, that's something at the root structure, right? The plates that are underneath the buildings, those plates have that foundation built in. And these kind of things cannot be solved a lot of times from the same place that they came from. The health system, it is the way it is, and it's good at keeping people in this loop of what they are in. I'm not saying I fall into that classic category of, oh, they're just keeping me sick, I'm still having diabetes, they don't want to fix it, because I have something way worse than that, right? And I have something that nobody can, insurance doesn't take. Most of my stuff is out of pocket because it's only specialists. There's no, government insurance provider or whatever that's going to pay for your, these kind of specialists that I have to go to. But my point is, a new country with a new philosophy, a country that is not existed right now yet, if it is born under new culture of people that can rebuild the health system in a way where they really target and try to solve big issues at the first principles level, just like many ways they do bigger problems in the world, in the tech industry, right? Like electric vehicles, like global warming, space, if you will. The type of entrepreneurs that get excited to tackle those kind of big problems, if we could have some of those tackle these problems in health, but under a new culture and a new country where the rules are different, where they don't feel like they could go to jail if they just test some variations and then, somebody gets a little sick or something. There's so many laws around the health system that it's like, it kind of like defers all entrepreneurs away. Right? Why would they sign up for all those trouble when they can just, go tackle something and change the world, and make a couple billion in the health space? In the tech space, right? So that's kind of like what I meant with that. I don't really remember how I elaborated on this video. It's like about a year ago, or a lot of months ago. But that's me still pointing out that I still stand by this. All right, that's it. It's almost 60 minutes, an hour I did talking, and I guess as I'm finishing this, I'll put another thing on my belt that I think maybe my talking is not as bad because I'm not feeling as much pain as I normally think I would by talking for an hour straight. So all in all, with everything, I'm still here. I'm still hanging on. And I will post again when I have something worthwhile to say.